My name is Jill Maurer, and I am the Gordie Center's National Development and Program Coordinator. I am thrilled to be here tonight with Leslie and Michael Lanahan, Gordie's mother and stepfather. Leslie and Michael are coming to us from two different locations. Leslie is at their house in Sun Valley, Idaho, and Michael's in Dallas, Texas, their hometown. Thank you so much for joining us this evening, both of you.
Good to be here. Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
I'm going to jump right into the Q&A so that we can get to as many audience questions as time will allow. And Michael, I'm going to go ahead and start with you. We've gotten a few questions about what happened after Gordie's death in terms of CU Boulder, Chi Psi, and the individual fraternity members.
Well, thank you, Jill. That's a big question, and I think we learned everything. We learned everything after Gordie's death. I think the university has been through this kind of situation before. Most disappointing was that they never called Leslie to offer condolences. And maybe that's because the university, a public university, has sovereign immunity, which means they have a very strong shield against any kind of liability. This wasn't their first rodeo. The fraternities have been through this before. And they told all the brothers to shut up, and they had lawyers go visit the chapter. When we met with the board of the fraternity, they said they didn't think of one thing they could have done to have prevented Gordie's death. Some of the brothers claimed that Gordie had a drinking problem, so started to make Gordie the reason for his death. And we asked him, well, if you knew that, why was it okay to give him this alcohol challenge if he had such a large drinking problem? So we believe in our society, we only listen to consequences. If there are consequences, there's more of a chance that behavior will be changed. So we sued some of the fraternity brothers to make sure that they understood the seriousness of it. They all had to make a small payment that was covered by their homeowner's insurance. And we sued the National Fraternity, which is very hard to prove what the word hazing means, but we did get a small financial settlement with them and an agreement for them to change some of their practices at their chapter in Boulder and hopefully at other chapters around the country. At the very least, we thought that these payments would affect their insurance costs, and the cost of their business would go up, and they'd have to relook their business model to be more protective of the boys. Colorado and a lot of states have a variety of laws that collectively make it hard to hold anybody accountable. There's no law against a minor serving alcohol to a minor, for example. But along the way, with all these other deaths that have happened in fraternities, slowly there are cracks in the fraternities' defenses, where we do believe that they're starting to change their business model and be more responsible. And the awareness is growing. God forbid, last year, there were 6 fraternity pledges that died. So I wish that we could say we had a bigger impact, but it's kind of a shame that the victim's family has to sort of take the lead in what the consequences are, as opposed to society in general. So sorry that's long-winded, but it could be much more long-winded.
No, that was great. That kind of dovetailed into another question that we've gotten in various forms tonight, and that is, what progress, if any, have you seen on college campuses since Gordie's death?
You know, it really depends on the individual leading that university or college. I think to a great extent today, there's still willful ignorance of what's going on. The president at University of Colorado knew this behavior was going on, but he didn't really want to know about it. In fact, he never stepped foot in the fraternities for fear that he would know too much about what was going on. It really takes some leadership, and the presidents of these colleges and universities are, their primary goal is to raise money from the alumni. And if you crack down on the Greek system, you're going to cut out a lot of your fundraising. So they have a practical business aspect to their response.
Yes, and I do see a couple of people asking, why can't fraternities be legally liable for their members? And I think you touched on that a little bit. They're a business, and their insurance covers it, and it's kind of like business as usual.
Well, they have a very practiced response to a death of a pledge. The first one is sending in a lawyer and telling the boys to shut up. Second is starting to blame the victim. They deactivate that chapter saying it violated their policies, sort of in a way wiping their hands of any responsibility. They even have rules that say you can't drink in the fraternity house. Nobody follows that up, and it's kind of a joke in a way. And they have minors that are responsible for the rituals for these freshmen and serving the punishment and the alcohol to minors. So when you have kids that don't make decisions the way that they will in their later life as adults, you've got a prescription for disaster. And I do think that these kids go off to college without the proper information. And whatever program a college or university might have will never overcome the environment they greet when they get there. They could drink on their own for the first time. Liquor is readily available. Boulder is ringed by bars. They want the bars to make money, so they pay taxes, so the city endorses that. The fraternities want the revenue from the pledges 30 days after they arrive for their business model. They also want the alumni money. And the universities have a Greek alumni that is very powerful, not only politically, but financially, to make sure that things don't change and their proud traditions carry on. Not understanding that these college traditions today aren't like they were when most of the parents graduated from college.
Thank you, Michael. Leslie, I'm going to turn to you. We had a few questions about how can we help? We do. So if students were to witness hazing, or parents want to talk to their kids about hazing, what would you ask them to pass on to their students, or what would you have liked for someone to do for Gordy?
I think that what we've had a long time to think about that, and I think Michael and I both wish, and as well as Gordy's dad and stepmother, that we had talked to him beforehand, a little more warning what he was going into. I also think that we didn't know or have the ability to do homework at that time. And I think that is one of the steps that has been made since Gordy died, due to a number of families who have insisted and made sure that this happens. You can now research the amount of things that are happening on these campuses, whether they're Greek organizations or on a college campus, whether it's another kind of organization. And so I would say, to start, do your homework as parents. When you hear your child is joining an organization at college or high school, as it could be a sports team or whatever, we wish we'd done that. I think we wish we had talked to Gordy more and told him that if he did get himself in a situation that was uncomfortable, or he might not have perceived it to be dangerous, but I think he would have perceived it to be, this isn't really feel right. I wish we had told him to be sure and talk to us, and that we could at least have a little more information on, what he was doing. These things, these events are secrets, and kids go into these things so naively and they don't know, what's going to happen. And most of them are traditions. They've been going on a long time. So it's not like it's somebody's new idea of something to do. What happened to Gordy that night is the same thing that's happened every year in the same place, around a bonfire, kids in blindfolds, coats and ties, the whole deal. Anyway, I think, and to go back to the question before, I do think that some progress has been made. And I think that a lot of families have worked very hard to try to ensure consequences. There's a huge movement to make this a felony. It's not yet. It's state by state, different laws. But a national felony law would be an amazing deterrent, I think, if kids really, really thought that something serious could happen to them as a result of this. They might think twice about this behavior as their way to bond their pledges. Does that answer your question, Jill? That question?
Yes, I think it did. I am seeing someone just asked, how can you research the events and issues within a certain college or Greek life? And just, from the Gordie Center's point of view, we would ask that you research, the college itself. A lot of them have fraternity and sorority life offices, or even a hazing page on their website that will show infractions, or you can call the office and talk with them, talk with the dean of students. There are lots of different ways that you can get that kind of information now. And I think parents are a little more aware and more able, and even students, if you're thinking about joining a certain organization, ask around, find out more about it, and sort of know what your limits are and what you're willing to accept, the type of treatment you're willing to accept, and walk away if that organization doesn't match your values. So another question that we have gotten is really about your family. So tell us a little bit more about how Gordy's death has impacted you and Lily, and sort of your daily life for the last 16 years.
Well, Jill, I think it's fair to say that we're dealing with it every day. It's a daily thing. There's not a day that goes by that we don't think of Gordy. And we think of the positive things. We don't dwell on how he died and whatever, just the years that we had with him. And they were very blessed years. We reacted in different ways. I was very proud to see that Lily was surrounded by a lot of love at her school, which I think helped. It might have helped too that she was not at home. She was at boarding school. So she wasn't dealing with us on a day-to-day basis. And I think that was positive. But I think she really demonstrated an inner strength and resilience that continues to this day. I know she's making Gordy and certainly her parents proud of her every day with how she's conducted her life since Gordy's death. And she graduated with honors from college. She got a master's degree. She started her own company, and she's engaged to be married when we can navigate this COVID. So not that it's not painful and it's with us every day, but you live on. You live on.
You do, because you have to. and you really, it's been very tough, but I'd have to say my analogy is it's a little bit like scar tissue. And it's not, the wound is not so raw, but that scar tissue is always there. And it's a tremendous weight to carry around, living with that kind of pain and that loss every day. So it's hard. It's hard, and Lily she's 30 now, and she was 14 at the time. So life has gone on, and I think something that I always say and sort of keep in mind, because I think it's amazing to think how much the world has even changed. When Gordy died, there was no such thing as an iPhone. There was no Facebook. There was no YouTube. So it's kind of hard to imagine what he would be like in this world. It would be really different. At that time, he had an old flip phone, which I still have, and you would text by pushing the number 4 3 times for the letter E or whatever it was. So I have his phone, and I saw his texts, and there were texts going that night about what he was walking into, and it's really something to read. So the answer, Jill, is it's tough. We do the best we can. I miss sort of the old me before that happened. Another mother shared with me sort of how she feels because since her child died. She said, I miss the old carefree me, the fun person that is gone. It's definitely changed our family, and that's just something we have to live with.
Well, we absolutely appreciate, and we've gotten a lot of comments saying how wonderful the film was and how much people appreciate that you put yourselves out there as a family to help prevent this from happening again. So just know that a lot of people here are sending you guys love tonight.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for that.
So we are just about at 9:30, and I'm going to go ahead and ask our last questions so that we can wrap up for the evening and let all these wonderful people go. So what is your hope for having this event tonight, and how can the people watching tonight honor and remember Gordy?
Well, that's a big question. I think we're not looking for Gordy to be honored. We have a lot of ways to remember him, but we just hope that parents understand that alcohol can kill. That's a pretty powerful statement, but we didn't really recognize that before Gordy went to college. We knew about a hangover, we knew about all the other things, we knew about drinking and driving. But, and along with that, the awareness of peer pressure in the Greek system or joining any organization. The peer pressure that includes hazing typically, and hazing in most cases involves alcohol, and that leads to alcohol poisoning. So we have a tagline for what we try to do, which is save a life, make the call. It's such a simple thing to do. But we're not trying to penalize people for drinking too much or serving. That's not a fight we can take on. But making a call and saving your brother or sister or bandmate or friend. Global amnesia seems to be a part of every death. We're shocked, a little bit comparable to COVID on a different scale. And we get desensitized to these deaths. And we're saying, well, that's not us. That's somebody else's family, or that kid had some bad habits. And I think, obviously we're proud of what you all do at the Gordie Center. I think people should take advantage of the resources that you offer to get educated, because it's too late if you get a call. And you can educate your kids before they go to college.
I think that's right. There's great tools out there, and I think as parents, talk to your kids, and kids, do some homework on who you're joining, who you think are going to be your newfound friends, and don't assume they're going to have your back, because they very well may not. I think that there are great resources out there, and the Gordie Center has tried to make things available and free to people to go online, go to our website, gordy.org, and you can use the resources. There's many, many places with tools out there, but we're just one resource that's available. And I think Gordy, I always say Gordy would be the most surprised that he died, because I know, thought he could handle things, and so did we. So it we always say hazing can happen to anyone. So.
Well, Leslie and Michael, we are so appreciative of everything you have done to share Gordy's story and save lives over the last 16 years. And we really thank you both for being here with us tonight.
Well, thank you all for putting it together and for all the people that took the time to register and be part of this presentation. We hope it makes an impact.
Yeah.
So this concludes the Gordie Center's National Gordie Day HAZE presentation. Thank you so much for joining us. Please check out gordie.org for all the resources and digital tools that we offer to help prevent hazing and alcohol overdose. You can sign our pledge to check at gordie.org/pledge. And if you would like to rent or purchase HAZE for future use, please visit our website, gordie.org/HAZE the movie, to learn more. And we thought we were going to email you all a survey about this event, but it's going to pop up magically right after you hit end on this event. So please fill out that survey to let us know how you felt about this event. We should do more things like this in the future. We really appreciate your attendance and your responses tonight. Thank you again, and remember to save a life and make the call.
Thank you.
Thank you.